Good evening, folks. It is a chilly Thursday evening in London. I wanted to talk to you today about how the empath and the narcissist both wear the mask, and how their paths diverged, where one kept the mask and the other left the mask, put the mask down. So, if you like my content, like, share, comment and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts as well at the end of the video. So, how to think about empaths and narcissists, and how we were raised in similar or the same household dynamics. Narcissists and empaths are created in the same household dynamics. They both have similar childhoods, but the difference is in the choices they make when they decide how to move forward. And these choices are made in childhood, okay? They're not made as an adult, they're made early in childhood. So let's talk about this, okay? Basically, the empath wears a mask in early childhood. The empath has to wear the mask to please the narcissistic parent, basically, to survive. So the empath has their true self, but they are not allowed to express their true self. Any expression of their true self will be stamped out by the narcissist. It will not be tolerated. So the empath has to hide behind the mask, knowing that they have their true self, but they have to wear the mask to appease the narcissist, basically, their parent. They have to wear the mask to appease the narcissist, to do as they want, to be the person, the child that the narcissist wants. Never mind anything about what the child wants. They have to satisfy the needs of the narcissist parent. They have to regulate the narcissist parent's emotions. They have to meet the narcissist parent's ever-changing expectations. They have to be hyper vigilant and anticipate the needs of the narcissist. And they also have to people please, okay? They have to please the narcissist to survive. So the tools behind the narcissist, behind the empath's mask, are people pleasing and hypervigilance to appease the narcissist, and also to act as a mirror to the narcissist, so that the narcissist sees a glorious projection of themselves. So empaths do mirror. They do, because they've had to learn to do this to survive. Okay, so you think the empaths don't mirror? Yes, we mirror. We had to learn this skill to survive. Okay, if you didn't mirror the narcissist and what they expected to see, like mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all, yeah? Basically, the empath had to be the mirror back, saying, you're the fairest of them all. You are, okay? So, that happened, but the empath always knew who they were behind the mask. They knew who they were, but they knew that they had to wear this mask to appease and satisfy and survive the narcissist parent, okay? No choice in the matter. They had to do this. They would have loved to express their true self as a child, but that was not possible. Absolutely impossible. Because if they did, they could risk abandonment, chastisement, punishment, and silent treatment, okay? So they learnt from a very young age to not express their needs, to not have any boundaries, to appease and people please and mirror the narcissist and be hypervigilant to anticipate all the needs of the narcissist, okay, and achieve anything that the narcissist wants them to achieve, to try and stay in their good books. But they always knew who they were, and basically when they had to hide their true selves, this is where the core shame starts. Because basically they feel shame that they cannot express their true self and they have to bury it to appease the parent, the narcissist. And therefore they have this introspective feeling that they are not good enough. They are not worthy. They are not good enough. And there must be something wrong with them if they are unable to express their true self. And any time that they may have tried, they have been punished. So they know better than to do that. But your early caregivers are setting the bar and letting you know that how you want to be, your true self, is unacceptable. Completely, unequivocally unacceptable. And if you're going to survive this, then you're going to do what they say and you're going to do what they want you to do. And that is it, okay? So the empath feels core shame for not being able to express themselves, and rather than thinking the parent is toxic and this is incorrect treatment, they don't know any better. They're children. So innately they turn it round on themselves, inward, and they absorb the shame that they're not good enough. They can't be good enough if they're unable to express themselves and have to wear a mask. But as an adult, the empath can put down the mask and never lose the true self, because the empath always knows that they're acting. Even from a child, they know that they have to behave a way that is not themselves. They have to have a false self and a mask and be a mirror and project what the narcissist wants to see, but this is survival. They're never truly happy with this, but it's all that they can do and it's what they know. The narcissist, on the other hand, the narcissist basically also has the same situation. They have to wear the mask, just like the empath. They have to wear the mask, they have to perform, and they have to fall in line, or they will be punished. And the difference is they have to be the mirror as well. They have to be hyper vigilant. They have to do all of these things, anticipate their parents' needs, perform, etc. The difference between the narcissist and the empath is this. The narcissist basically feels the same shame, the same core shame. So they have this in common as well. The core shame of being unable to express themselves and be themselves, okay? Core shame for this. Not any more or less than the empath. Just, it is. They just feel that shame. But it's how they choose to deal with it. The narcissist decides, right, okay, if I am so bad and my parent cannot accept me for who I am, my true self, then that true self, who I am, is disgusting. I hate myself. I absolutely hate myself. So they feel shame, but they also feel self-hate, self-loathing, where the empath feels that they're not worthy, that they lack self-worth. The narcissist has self-loathing, okay? And that self-loathing leads them to abandon themselves, because they would rather continue to wear the mask and reject their true self than to face the shame, to feel the shame, and basically the rejection from their parent of their true self. So what happens is, in rejecting their true self, they refuse to put down the mask. They stay in character, full stop. They start by believing that they're the mask. They believe that if they discard their true self and continuously stay in character as the mask and perform, then they will become the mask. They will become the mask. And in that way, they never stop performing. They're always performing. And they weld the mask even tighter to their face. And they say, unlike the empath that likely thinks, when I'm able to leave and escape, I'll be able to express myself, my true self. And even though they may not feel worthy, they know that innately they want to be themselves, okay? The narcissist says, screw that. I don't want that self. If my parents couldn't stand that self, and the only way that I can feel loved or desired or wanted and get the affection and care that I need is to wear the mask, then I'm never going to put the mask down. Never. This feels too good, and there is no way I am ever going to feel the shame of being my true self ever again. And this is the decision that is made in early childhood, okay? Early childhood, this decision is made. So they then weld the mask to their face and decide that they will be that character forever. And the best way for me to describe this is Batman, okay? Batman and Bruce Wayne, okay? So let's think Batman, Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is Batman, okay? Now, imagine this. Let's take the empath as an example. The empath will don the mask and become Batman. The empath knows they're Bruce Wayne and decides to wear the mask for survival, become Batman for survival, basically. They always know that they're Bruce Wayne. They never lose sight of that. Never, okay? And when they have the opportunity, they remove the mask and put it down and basically never wear that mask again. If they awaken, they'll never wear that mask again. And if they don't awaken, then they will wear the mask intermittently to avoid further trauma, okay? The narcissist, on the other hand, he starts off as Bruce Wayne and has the trauma like Bruce Wayne and basically decides to turn into Batman and thinks, I like this. This, being Batman, is how I achieve what I want. It is how I get love, affection, adoration, admiration, and how I can manipulate and get people to do what I want them to do and exploit them and everything else, okay, to their benefit. So they say, I was Bruce Wayne once, but I'll never be Bruce Wayne again. I'm Batman now, and I will be Batman forever. And when they turn their back on Bruce Wayne, then they lose their true self, okay? The empath always knew and realised that they were Bruce Wayne. They never lost sight of that. But the narcissist, by turning away, by keeping the mask on and never taking it off and fusing with the mask, they then become Batman and they refuse to come out of character. They refuse. They are adamant. They will stay in character. They refuse to come out of character. They will kill. They will kill anyone that tries to get them out of character. And basically, when they feel that that character isn't working, they adapt to create new masks. New masks of whatever they think will work for them, okay? They make masks. So, you know, the mask could be Thor. The mask could be Wonder Woman. The mask could be Captain America. It will be whatever they feel serves their highest purpose, if you can call it that. I don't even like to say highest. It's in their warped delusional mind, their highest purpose, okay? So that is how they lose themselves, because they basically abandoned Bruce Wayne for Batman. And because there's no balance, then basically Batman becomes delusional and lives for dominating, controlling, and power. And all of that corrupts. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Now, in their quest and desire for control, domination, and power, and staying in the mask of Batman, they become corrupt. They are now the villain. They never intended to be that way, but that's what they've become. They've turned away from their true self. They have lost sense of reality. They are delusional now. You step away and deny your true self, there is nothing that you can be but delusional and a lunatic, okay? You cannot deny your true self and be sane. You cannot. You cannot. So basically, the things that the narcissist and the empath have in common are they both come from the same household, which is quite often the reason why you will have an empath and you will have a narcissist. You'll have siblings, and maybe two of the siblings will be narcissists and one will become an empath. It's not usually the majority of the siblings that are empaths. It's usually the majority that come out as narcissists. If there's 3 siblings, then the chances are 2 of them will become narcissists and 1 will become an empath. And basically, with that in mind, they both come from the same household, the same narcissistic dynamics, the same narcissistic parents, okay? Quite often, the narcissist also is the golden child. You know, they talk about trauma, and when we think about trauma, we think about people suffering in pain, you know, whether it's mental pain, physical pain. And a lot of narcissists were golden children. They basically were given everything that they wanted as long as they performed. So there you go. If they perform, then they get everything that they want. And if they're good at performing, then they always get everything that they want. And what does getting everything that you want all the time lead to? Self-entitlement, folks. Self-entitlement. And what do narcissists think? How are narcissists? How is their behavior? That of one who is self-entitled, okay? And being spoiled basically is a form of abuse. Being spoiled, you know, spoiled rotten. There's that saying when they say a child can be spoiled rotten. Excuse the darkness, folks. Sunset has gone. Being spoiled rotten has negative effects on the child. growing up, okay? And therefore, they have a sense of entitlement, and they also can end up having a lack of empathy for others, because with self-entitlement, then you care about yourself only. You feel that you are entitled to what you desire, want, need, regardless of the impact and the consequences of your behaviour on others, okay? The other thing that we have in common is that we both feel shame, core shame, okay? So both the empath and the narcissist feel core shame for not being able to express themselves, their true selves, and having to wear the mask for their parents and perform for their parents, okay? That's the other thing, that they both feel core shame. They have to wear a mask. Each, they have to have a false self, each, to survive, and they both feel core shame, okay? Both. Now, that is where things end in commonality between the two, because it's where they diverge, where their paths diverge, is how they choose to deal with the core shame. So the narcissist and the empath deal with core shame very differently. The empath internalizes the core shame, but always holds on to their true self, and I guess has hope, continues hoping that one day they'll be able to be their true self and express their true self, regardless of the feelings of worthlessness. They don't hate themselves. Empaths do not hate themselves. They just have low esteem and low self-worth. That is how they have absorbed the shame, by internalizing it and devaluing themselves, but staying true to themselves, okay? And the narcissist, on the other hand, has taken the core shame, absorbed some of it, and thought, I can't do this. This will kill me. To absorb this core shame, to keep feeling this way, and to be rejected by the only people that love me, that can love me. Absolutely not. I will stay in this mask and keep performing so that I never feel this shame again. I will bury it and I will never think about it again. I will stay in the character and project the image, reflect the image that my parents want me to see, and I will never, ever show my true self again. Never. Okay? And I will be anything that people want me to be, and they will never, ever see the true self, because it is despicable. If my parents couldn't stand my true self, I must be disgusting. I hate myself. I absolutely hate myself. So, that is what they do, and that is how the true self dies, okay? The true self withers away and dies because they don't ever bother to reflect. They just focus on performing always, performing in the mask and creating new masks, adapting the mask and creating new masks as and when are required. Okay, so that right there is how the empath and the narcissist differ. Both start off having to wear the mask, but one rejects the mask and becomes their true self, grows into their true self, and the other keeps the mask on and rejects their true self, basically, and hates their true self, rejects it, and basically the way that the narcissist buries their shame is by staying in character, but also to avoid feeling it when it comes up, when it rises to the surface. How they deal with that is to project it. So the empath internalizes and absorbs the shame. The inner critic, they both have the inner critic. Okay, both of them have the inner critic. That's the other thing that they have in common. They both have the inner critic that is grounded in shame. But the empath absorbs the shame, internalizes it, and the narcissist projects it. Basically, they feel it. If they feel it, as soon as they feel it, before their logical mind can rationally disperse this shame, and work through it, no, they'll project it, they'll throw it off because they cannot ever bear to feel that shame. They will never, ever want to feel that shame ever again. And by abandoning their true self, this is why they have the void. Because where their true self would have been, their true self is no longer there. Because they basically decided to stay in character and the true self has withered and died. And in place of the true self is a void, okay? A void that needs to be filled. And the true self is the spirit, okay? And the spirit, the watcher, prana, chi, the observer, life, okay? Now, if you abandon the watcher, the spirit, the observer, if you abandon that for the mask, for the character, then basically the watcher dies. Because the watcher is you. But if you decide you won't be you, then the watcher dies. And the watcher is the one that introspects and self-reflects. That is the watcher. But if you abandon the watcher, then how can you introspect and reflect? You can't. Because there's no watcher. There's just a void where the watcher once was. Okay? So, those are my thoughts on the empath and the narcissist dynamic and how they both start off in the same place, but their paths diverge in early childhood by the choices that they make. One remains true to self and uses the mask for survival purposes, but always keeps grounded in knowing who they are and their true self, whether they think they're worthy or not. And the other, the narcissist, chooses to stay in character with the mask and believe that they are the mask and abandon their true self. And therefore, how they deal with shame and process shame is to project, because there is no longer a true self to be able to reflect. There you have it, folks. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on this matter. It took me a long time to get my head around someone not having a true self. I could understand it, but I couldn't fully comprehend. To me, it was like somebody saying to me, somebody telling me that that person over there doesn't exist, but I can see them, but you're telling me that they don't exist. That is how difficult it was for me to understand that concept of someone not having a true self. But I hope if you were in my situation where you couldn't fully grasp it, the Batman analogy helps. Okay? So, I'll see you all soon, and thanks for tuning in. Ciao, ciao.